good morning, good evening, good night, YouTube, whatever time of day it is for y'all. I welcome y'all in. Today we're going to be talking about energy. Last video I said I wanted to go into the topics a lot deeper. I got my little iPad right here, so I can, kind of be a little more focused. Got notes down here, all that. So if you see me looking down here, that's what we're doing. Got it so I could kind of just be more focused, less stuttering, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's focus, right? So today we're talking about energy, and here I have actually a setup here that I'm actually going to pull up right now because I already got it up. There we go. Okay, so what is energy? I'm not the best at explaining things, so I'm gonna have a lot of more articles and come more prepared, as time goes on. But a lot of these things that I'm doing right now are just fresh in my mind and something that I want to get to the people, right? And so here we have, what is human energy, right? Energy is not just, running or any of that. There's a physical energy, there's a mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, all that. Whether your capability of focusing, you ever feel like you're working on, whatever it may be, homework, all right, whatever it is, right? You're working, right? And you start to fog up. You're like, oh man, you know what I mean? That's your energy on your mental side. You have a certain point where, and people will call it, how do you say it? Attention span. That's your stamina. That's your mental focus, right? Now, over here, it's got a couple. This is good, actually. This is perfect because here we have the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. This is literally perfect for what I'm talking about here. We're gonna actually go in order. This gives us a nice little outline, and we're gonna just talk about how these may affect what you think, right, and what you actually do, and how this could change your life. Because remember, one thing to understand is whatever you think is what you will do, right? If you think you're homeless and you think that you're not doing what you need to do and you're moping around, you don't have a job, you're going to end up homeless, right? If you think about eating, you're going to eat. If you think about, drawing, you're going to draw. If you think about getting on the game, you're going to get on the game, right? Whatever the case may be, however, useful or unuseful it may be, whatever you think is what you will do, because thoughts turn to actions, right? And here we have physical stamina as the first thing, and this is great, First of all, physical stamina, physical energy. How does that connect to anything else? You would assume physical is purely bodily, like pure body, pure muscle, pure strength, how much you can push on the, how much you can pick up the dumbbells, how much can you rep out some curls for, like that sort of thing, right? But the truth is, right, physical stamina relates to every single other category of energy. And that's because if your body is not right, your mind is not right. Okay? And that's the most simple way I could put it. But the reason for that being, your body gets fat because of what you eat. Because of what you eat, what you eat gives you your energy. So if you're eating low quality foods and you're not really getting the energy you need, what's going to happen? Your mental focus is going to go lower, decline. Your mental focus will decline. A lot of foods make people more emotional, like, how do I say this? Like, when you're not the foods, but when you're a bigger person, you are actually more emotional because your hormones are actually messed up. And I'm sure there's something that we could look up for that, but I'm gonna leave that to the side, right? Basically, when you're bigger, you are capable of doing less, physically, running, lifting weights, whatever the case may be. Your mental focus will be a lot more clouded because a lot of the time, you're not getting the right nutrients, the right food that your body needs, unless you're like, eating super healthy or something, and you're fat. Like I said, exceptions to every rule, but you know excuse me. Damn, I just lost my train of thought. Basically, when you're eating, good foods, when you're eating what your body needs, all of these areas will improve. Your physique will improve, your mental focus will improve, your emotional stability will improve, and you'll just feel like a greater person overall, which will, because you'll be more confident, right? So your spiritual energy will improve as well, right? So I'm not going to get into how to get, more in shape, what to eat. I'm not going to get into that today, but we could most definitely go into that on a later video. So if you guys are interested in, kind of like a handheld, type of guide type of thing on how you might be able to, progress in the gym, because I mean, honestly, the hardest part is, knowing where to start in everything. So I would gladly make a video on how to get more fit and more healthy. For sure, I would love to do that. This is about helping everybody, including myself, right? Right, next I want to get into mental focus, right? Because and this will improve your life, like having a better energy on you will improve your life in many ways, right? Physical, you'll look better, you'll feel better, you'll be stronger. Simple, right? Not too complicated. Mental focus, you'll be able to, withstand learning, for much longer periods of time. You'll be able to understand, more complex things, because you're actually learning, right? If your mental focus increases, your capability to learn goes up, which makes you smarter, right? Makes you more open to things, more open-minded, right? Emotional stability. If you're more emotionally, and this goes for not just people, but relationships as well, right? If you're more emotionally stable, right, you have the ability to lead, right? And as a man specifically, the ability to lead is what people want. So, if you're emotionally stable, that will most definitely help you and make your life a lot better, whether it may be in social circles, in, your confidence, because you're capable of thinking for yourself and not letting people control you, right? Whatever the case may be, it's amazing to be emotionally stable. Same with spiritual energy, right? Which I'm not going to get into too much because that's a whole topic on its own. But spiritual energy, the way you make people feel by literally doing nothing, your aura essentially, right? The way that when you walk in a room, or when you see or someone sees you, or you're close to somebody, the way someone reacts to you, they say if animals like you, you're a better person. Like, this is not shit that just was made up, one day randomly. Like, these are studied things. Like, people studied the way that humans give off energy. When you have your shoulders hunched in like this, and you're cold and shivering, someone's gonna ask you, "Yo, are you cold? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you all right?" But when you got your back straight, shoulders back, you're looking right ahead, you're looking confident, people are gonna feel that. People feel these types of energies, right? And like I said, I'm not gonna get too into that because it's a whole topic on its own, and it's a lot more complicated to explain, in my opinion, right? But essentially, being on a higher, frequency, on a higher energy wave, right? Higher frequency is actually the word, right? If you're giving off high vibration, high frequency, right, you're gonna be a lot better to be around. Even if you're trying to give off a persona, people are gonna tell you that something's off. People are gonna think something's off. You can't hide who you truly are. You can't hide your spiritual energy. You can't do it. People will sense that shit from a mile away. But back to the let's focus, right? Because I would actually love to make a video on this later. But mental focus, improve. How could we improve mental focus, right? Mental focus can be best improved, right, by number one, eating good, right? I don't have something pulled up for this, but eating good will definitely, most definitely, honestly, we could probably search it up right now. Foods linked to better brain power. A a topic, covered by Harvard Health Publishing, right? I mean, this is not hocus pocus material, right? All right, see, look, just as there's no magic pill to prevent cognitive decline, no single almighty brain food can ensure a sharp brain as you age, right? Now, here we're talking about, obviously, you not putting in the work, you not focusing is not going to make you, like, eating better is not going to make you more focused or improve your ability to focus if you don't even care to, first of all, do what you're doing, learn. You have to, one thing that's super important is that you as a human being have to do everything that you want to do, okay? Or, focus. My point being, you need to do what you want to do, because no amount of, a betterment will change how you feel about what it is you do on a day-to-day basis. If you hate your job, if you hate what you go to school for, if you hate anything you do, no amount of improvement on, focus will actually help you, because essentially what you're doing is you're repressing who you really are, whether it be to, get through a schooling because, a family member told you to do this or do that, right? Repressing yourself is one way to completely destroy your mental health, and that will not help you with mental focus, right? So that's something really important, right, to just, keep in mind, right? Do things that you want to do. You are more likely to succeed that way. But anyway, as you can see here, research shows that best brain foods are some of the same ones that protect heart and blood vessels, including the following: green leafy vegetables, fatty fish, berries, tea, coffee, walnuts, all that, right? Let's see if we can find a here it is. Okay, it's just telling you what it is that will help you improve your cognitive function and not really explaining why. But if it's telling you something that will, obviously it works, especially if it's, Harvard's a trusted source. But my point being, right, these foods that you eat will definitely help your mental focus. So eating healthy is one thing that is super important when it comes to your mental focus. Another thing that you'd need to do is do things that you care about doing. You will not be focused if it's something that you do not want to do. And, this is something that we just got to stop doing. We got to leave this shit in the big 2010, all right? We got to leave this like in the past, a long time ago, all right? This should have never even passed on this long. We should not be doing things we don't want to do. And crazy enough, some people like bagging groceries. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Or at least they act like it. But the point is, right? Do what you want to do. You're more likely to succeed. You're more likely to care about what you're doing. You're going to focus more because it's something you actually like. And you're going to feel better about yourself because you're doing something you want to do. You're pursuing what it is that you want. That is something, that is something that will increase your energy, and, focus and essentially everything. You'll feel happier, emotional stability, you'll feel happier, you'll be happier, you'll be more on a higher emotional plane, right? Your spiritual energy, you'll be a lot higher in a frequency because you're doing something that you care about, and you'll be able to focus more. Now, that's for how to improve it, but mental focus can be destroyed by many things as well. And oftentimes, right, it's not even just about what you do, it's about what you don't do. Okay? Mental focus is equally as how much you do. Honestly, I would argue it has more to do with what you don't do. Right? Because if you're, let's say you're, I don't know, you're writing something, you're writing a paper, right, for school, right? It doesn't really matter what you're doing. My point is, whatever it is that, excuse my phone, but whatever it is that you're doing, right? You know, whether it be for school, your own purposes, whatever, right? If someone comes to you, like for example, this phone, right? If I didn't have my phone on and I just left it over there and turned off all my notifications, what did I not do? I didn't allow notifications to hit my phone. So now, what does that mean? There's something less that will take me away from the zone I'm in. Okay? Another thing, that was a great example. That was perfect, right? Another thing, people. If you want to be more focused and improve yourself, you have to say no to people. You have to say no to going out. You have to say no to, hangouts every single night. You have to say no to people, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck not doing things that you find fun or saying, no, whatever, right? The point is saying no to people, because that way you're capable of focusing on yourself, and this will also improve your spiritual energy from being alone. It will protect you. And why is that, right? Why is that? There's actually a law, one of the laws of power, right? And it is, let me see. 48 laws of power. This with intention, I think. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not really too sure. I have the book on me. 48 laws has not conceal your true intentions. Oh, here we go. Okay, law 16. Use absence to increase respect. Honestly, I just actually finished reading that book a while ago, so I definitely need to pass over it one more time and I actually want to, come on here when I'm a little more adept with the book to actually, show y'all the book, because I think even though that book gets a bad reputation because of what it speaks on, there's a lot of, important things that you need to, be able to recognize. It's not really about doing everything in the book. It's about being able to recognize it, because a lot of people will use manipulative tactics or whatever the case may be to get up on you. But essentially, use absence to increase respect. In a world of constant content, calculated absence, or limited high impact presence, that's not the actual. Hold on, that's not the actual one. That is not the actual one. Here it is. Constant presence breeds contempt and lowers your value. By strategically withdrawing or becoming scarce after establishing yourself, you generate buzz, encourage admiration, and renew respect for your abilities. Scarcity creates value. High demand arises from restricted access. Right, and so why are we talking about this, right? Why are we talking about this? Because if you say no to people to be more focused on what it is that you have going for yourself, and you are focusing on actually doing what it is that you need to do, you're going to leave with focus. It's not like you're leaving because you want to be valued more. You're not going to be like, oh man, like these people don't treat me good, I'm gone. Honestly, they might be like, God, thank God this guy's gone. They might really want you to leave. But if you establish a good connection with these people and you withdraw for yourself, not for any manipulative reason, but you withdraw because you have things to do, that increases attention on yourself, that heightens your focus because you're doing it for yourself, right? And it heightens your value, which makes you, a higher frequency human being. You know, your energy increases. And last thing I want to cover is emotional stability. Excuse me, I'm still sick, but last thing I want to cover is emotional stability. And we're not going to go too deep on this one because I want to make a video on this one as well. But emotional stability, take a relationship between a man and a woman. The man is supposed to be, you know, the leader, you know, at least that's how it's, you know, supposed to be. I'm not saying it can't be any other way, but usually the man is the leader, right? If you are an emotionally unstable man, not only is that unattractive, right, but you're not able to lead, your woman is more likely to, you know, argue with you or think that, you know, she can't trust you because you're not emotionally secure with yourself, right? So how could we improve emotional stability? Well, there's a lot of things that you could do to improve your emotional stability, but the main thing that I think you could do is meditate on your life. Think about things. Be certain in what you do. Think before you act. That little moment of thought before getting something done, before saying something, before doing something, will give you the stability in the emotional aspect and the, you know, in every aspect necessary to that or needed for that encounter, right? It will give you the clarity you need. And having clarity, you know, will give you the ability to not just kind of like run based off emotions. It will give you the ability to think logically. If you think logically, you're removing emotion from that thought process, which automatically gives you the ability to have emotional stability. Now, emotional stability could also be something like, being, attacked, right? You know, someone's arguing with you and you have the emotional stability to think logically and not lash out on these people, right? So I want y'all to think about that. That's the only thing I'm going to leave you with emotional stability. It's think before you act. If you think before you act, you eliminate the possibility of using your emotions because you are thinking logically. That's all I'm going to leave you with. I hope this was helpful to y'all. You know, I really, really appreciate all the views and all that. You know, I honestly didn't think I was going to get that many views on my first video. And even though some people may say it's not a lot, 3 likes is a lot more than 0. And, 3 people liking my video and, thinking it's useful, that's great to me, and I hope we can get many more subs. I'd love to see, our community grow much greater, and, just, it's about improvement, you know what I mean? So I really appreciate all of you for watching. Thank you, and good morning, good evening, good night.